Rain poured like punishment from the sky as 18-year-old Amara sat quietly by the window of her late father's once vibrant house. Her stomach, round and swollen, reminded her every second of the mistake that changed her life. She was pregnant. And alone. Her father had died just 6 months earlier in a car accident that seemed too sudden to be real. Amara, his only child, had thought the world would stop spinning that day. But it didn't. Instead, it threw her into the hands of her cold, calculating stepmother, Mrs. Cecilia. Mrs. Cecilia had married Amara's father 5 years earlier and never liked Amara. She was too quiet, too obedient, too much like her late mother. The woman saw her as competition, and now with the man of the house gone, she saw Amara as a burden. Especially now that she was pregnant. "Shameless girl," Cecilia barked as she stormed into the living room with her thick wrapper tied tightly around her waist. "Look at you. Pregnant at 18. Just like your useless mother." Amara flinched. "Please, Mama Cecilia, don't talk about my mother like that." "Don't talk back to me, you disgrace," Cecilia shouted. "Your father would roll in his grave if he saw you like this. Carrying a bastard child with no father in sight." Tears gathered in Amara's eyes. The baby's father, Chucks, had disappeared as soon as he heard she was pregnant. One moment he was sweet and loving, the next he was gone without a word. She had no one left. "I can't keep feeding you and your mistake," Cecilia said, pacing furiously. "I have plans, important guests, and business to run. You are a stain." "I'll find work," Amara whispered. "I'll try to take care of myself." "With what qualifications? You failed your WAEC. You think people will hire a pregnant school dropout?" she sneered. "No. I've found a solution." Amara looked up slowly. "What do you mean?" "You're getting married." "What?" "You heard me." Cecilia folded her arms. "You will marry a man by next week. He is waiting for you. After that, you will leave my house." Amara's heart sank. "Who is he?" "He's a simple man. He doesn't have much, but he agreed to take you in." Amara's lips trembled. "You want to throw me to a stranger?" "No. I'm giving you a second chance. Be grateful." Cecilia didn't mention that the man was a homeless street wanderer named Ifani, whom she had found near the church gates. He looked dirty, hungry, and lost. She had offered him a meal and then made her wicked offer. "Marry my stepdaughter. She's a burden. Take her and disappear." He had stared at her, his eyes quiet but sharp. "Why?" "Because I want peace. And you want food. It's a win-win." He had said nothing for a long time, then finally nodded. "Fine. I'll marry her. But I want nothing from you after that." Cecilia had laughed. "Trust me, you'll get nothing anyway." Back in the living room, Amara tried to reason with her stepmother. "Please just give me time, let me think." "You've had enough time to think when you opened your legs for that useless boy. Now it's time to fix your life." That night, Amara sat alone in her father's old study, running her hands over his framed photo. "Daddy," she whispered, "if you're watching, please help me. I don't want to marry a stranger. I'm scared." The rain hadn't stopped. The following Sunday, Cecilia dragged Amara to an abandoned church outside town. There were no guests, no music, no flowers. Just a half-drunk pastor, a worn Bible, and a man standing in torn jeans and a dusty shirt. Amara's heart sank. The man, tall, bearded, with intense eyes, watched her without a smile. He didn't look violent or cruel. But he didn't look like someone who wanted to be here either. "This is Ifani," Cecilia said smugly. "Your new husband." Amara's hands shook. "Please, sir, are you doing this of your own free will?" Ifani looked at her, then glanced at Cecilia. "Yes," he said simply. "Let's get it over with." Tears slid down Amara's cheeks as she repeated the vows with shaking lips. She barely heard the words. Her world had gone dark. When it was over, Cecilia clapped once and handed Ifani a small bag of worn clothes and a few Naira notes. "She's yours now. Do whatever you like. Just don't bring her back here." The new couple walked away into the rain. No car waited for them. No home. Just silence and wet earth. After walking for what felt like hours, Ifani stopped under a bridge and spread out a blanket. "We'll stay here tonight," he said. Amara stared, horrified. "Here? This is your home. For now." She lowered herself slowly to the wet ground, clutching her belly protectively. "I don't even know your full name." "Ifani," he said again. "That's all you need to know for now." She glanced at him, tired and scared. "Why would you agree to marry someone like me?" He looked at her, rainwater dripping from his hair. "Everyone thinks I'm nothing," he said softly. "But sometimes, being nothing is the best way to watch everything." She frowned, confused. But before she could ask more, he turned away and closed his eyes. That night, curled under a thin blanket beside a man she didn't know, Amara cried silently, wondering if she had just moved from one prison to another. What she didn't know was that Ifani was far more than he seemed. The next morning, Amara woke up to the sound of footsteps and rushing water from the gutters nearby. Her back ached from the cold cement under the bridge, and her clothes were damp from the rain. She sat up, confused for a moment, then it all came rushing back. The wedding. The vows. The stranger beside her. The nightmare that had become her life. Ifani was no longer beside her. Panic shot through her. Had he abandoned her too? She stood up quickly, holding her belly. "Ifani?" she called weakly. "Over here," came his voice from a distance. She followed the sound and found him at a public tap, washing his face and rinsing out his shirt. His body was lean but muscular, and though his clothes were worn, he moved like someone who used to live better. "Here," he said, handing her a small loaf of bread and a sachet of water. "Eat slowly. That's all we have for now." She took it, grateful and still wary. "Thank you." They sat under the shade of a tree nearby, and for the first time since their forced wedding, Amara looked at him properly. He had dark skin, sharp cheekbones, and thoughtful eyes that didn't match the life he was living. His beard was neat, even though he had no home. There was something about him that didn't fit. "Ifani," she began carefully, Why are you on the streets?" He didn't look at her. "Life happened. Can you tell me?" He took a deep breath. "I used to be someone else. Someone people respected. My real name isn't even Ifani." Amara's eyes widened. "My name is Emeka Obiajalu. I was born into a wealthy family. My father was a billionaire. Real estate, oil blocks, the works. But when he died, everything changed." "What happened?" "My uncle took over the company. Faked documents. Had me arrested on false charges. I spent 3 years in prison for a crime I didn't commit." Amara's mouth fell open. "When I came out," Emeka continued, "I had nothing. No house, no money, no name. I changed it to Ifani and disappeared." "Why didn't you fight back?" "I did. But when you're rich and you lose everything, people forget you quickly. Your enemies finish what's left. I've been hiding, healing, and watching." Amara was speechless. "Why tell me now?" she asked quietly. "Because you're not like Cecilia. You didn't look at me with disgust. You looked at me with fear, but not pride. And because you're my wife now." The word wife hit her like a slap. It still didn't feel real. She looked at him again. "You could have refused to marry me. Why did you say yes?" He hesitated. "Because when I looked into your eyes at that church, I saw someone else who had been thrown away." Amara's throat tightened. No one had said anything that kind to her in a long time. "I'm sorry about your baby's father," he added. She looked down. He vanished. After I told him I was pregnant, he said he'd call me back. He never did. You're strong to carry it alone. Amara swallowed hard. I'm not strong. I'm just trying to survive. There was silence between them for a while. A soft breeze blew through the trees. For the first time in weeks, Amara didn't feel completely hopeless. Later that day, they walked through the markets. Emeka, still calling himself a Fani, asked for odd jobs, willing to sweep, carry loads, or wash cars for a little money. Amara watched him silently, surprised by his humility. By evening, he returned with 2 small wraps of rice and fried plantain. Still warm, he said, handing her one. We'll sleep inside a nearby kiosk tonight. The owner lets me stay sometimes. Thank you, she whispered. That night, as she lay on a mat beside him in a small wooden kiosk filled with bags of cement, Amara thought about everything she'd learned. Her stepmother had thrown her away to be humiliated. But the man she had thrown her to might be more powerful than any of them could imagine. As Emeka, or Ifani, snored gently beside her, she found herself wondering, was this the beginning of something painful, or something miraculous? She didn't know yet. But she had a strange feeling. Her story was far from over. The days turned into weeks. Every morning, Amara woke up beside Emeka, still using the name Ifani, and wondered how her life had turned out like this. She was once the only daughter of a respected businessman, but now she was sleeping in a kiosk with a man she barely knew, carrying a child whose father had vanished. But something strange had started to happen. She no longer cried every night. Maybe it was the way Emeka always made sure she ate first, even when food was scarce. Or how he shielded her belly from the cold wind while they slept. Or how he never once made her feel like a burden. He never touched her inappropriately. Never raised his voice. He treated her with respect. And that alone was beginning to heal her broken heart. One evening, as they shared a roasted yam by the roadside, Amara looked at him. Tell me the truth. Do you still think of going back to your old life? Emeka looked away. Every day. But it's not easy. I don't even have a phone. I don't have ID, bank access, nothing. Is there anyone who still believes you? He hesitated. My mother. But they kept her away from me. She's in a care home now. Somewhere in Asaba. I don't even know if she's still alive. Amara felt her chest tighten. We need to find her. He smiled sadly. It's not that simple. But it should be, she said, her voice firm. You've suffered enough. That night, as she lay on the mat beside him, her baby kicked. She gasped, placing her hand on her belly. Emeka stirred. Are you okay? The baby kicked. He smiled softly. That's a fighter right there. Amara laughed. For the first time in weeks. Maybe she'll grow up and become a judge. Or a business tycoon. Or president. Let's not get too ambitious, she teased. The next morning, they set out again. Emeka had heard about a car wash owner who might be hiring. They walked for almost an hour under the blazing sun, only to find that the position had been taken. We'll try again tomorrow, he said. Amara noticed something. You never get angry. Emeka looked at her. What's the point? Anger won't feed us. It won't change anything. I've been angry enough in the past. It nearly killed me. Later that week, a breakthrough came. A kind churchwoman who had seen them sleeping under the bridge offered Amara a spot in her roadside fruit stall. You can sit and sell. Just help me watch the goods, she said. Amara was overjoyed. Thank you, Ma. Thank you so much. With a steady place to sit during the day and little money coming in from Emeka's hustle jobs, they started saving. One evening, Amara was arranging oranges when a black Lexus pulled up beside the stall. A woman stepped out. Elegant, well-dressed and proud. Amara froze. It was Cecilia. Her stepmother looked her up and down like she was filth. So it's true. You're still alive. Amara stood up slowly. What do you want? I heard you were working at a fruit stall. I had to see it for myself. Why? Because I want to make sure you stay far away from my house, and far away from anything that bears my name. I'm not coming back, Amara said calmly. You made it clear you never wanted me there. Cecilia's eyes narrowed. You think this suffering is freedom? That man you married is nothing but a beggar. Amara's eyes blazed. And yet, he treats me better than you ever did. Cecilia laughed coldly. You're proud now? Pregnant and selling fruits like a local madwoman. Amara stepped closer. I may be selling fruits, but I'm free. I sleep in peace. And guess what? I'm not ashamed anymore. Cecilia hissed, spun around, and entered her car. Just don't ever come near me again. The Lexus zoomed off. Emeka returned later that night and found Amara quiet. She came, Amara said. Who? Cecilia. She came to mock me. Emeka's jaw tightened. I hate that she thinks we're nothing. That you're nothing. Amara smiled weakly. Let her laugh. She doesn't know the man I married. Emeka paused, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a torn business card. Old, crumpled, but still readable. What's that? She asked. My last link to the past. A lawyer I once trusted. I don't know if he's still around, but if he is, maybe he can help me get my name back. Amara's eyes lit up. Then let's find him. For the first time since they met, Emeka looked hopeful. That night, under the stars, something shifted between them. They were no longer just strangers bound by shame. They were partners in survival. And maybe, just maybe, the beginning of something greater than either of them ever imagined. The next morning, the city buzzed with its usual chaos. Horns blaring, traders shouting, hawkers darting between buses. But to Amara and Emeka, the world felt quieter. Focused. Emeka gently tucked the worn business card into his pocket. His name is Barrister Kelvin Naji. He was the only lawyer who didn't laugh in my face when I first got arrested. If anyone can help, it's him. Do you think he'll remember you? Amara asked as they boarded a Danfo heading towards Ikeja. I don't know, Emeka replied. But I have to try. The journey was long and dusty. Amara, 8 months pregnant now, sat with her arms wrapped around her belly while Emeka held the side rail, shielding her from being jostled. His shirt was still old, his shoes worn out, but his eyes were filled with quiet fire. They arrived at a modest law firm, paint peeling on the outside, but respectable. The receptionist, a young man chewing gum, barely looked up. Do you have an appointment? He asked. No, Emeka said. But it's urgent. I need to see Barrister Kelvin Naji. Name. Emeka hesitated, then slowly said. Emeka Obiajalu. The receptionist froze. He looked up sharply. Wait, say that again. Emeka Obiajalu. Son of Chief Obiajalu. The receptionist stood. Wait here. A few minutes later, an older man with graying hair rushed into the lobby. His eyes widened when he saw Emeka. Good God, the man whispered. You're alive. Barrister Naji? Emeka asked, stunned. The man pulled him into a hug. I thought you died in prison. They told me you were transferred. No trace. I tried to fight for you, but your uncle, he paid off judges, silenced people. I believe you, Emeka said. But I need your help now. Barrister Naji pulled them into his office and closed the door. Tell me everything. For the next hour, Emeka poured out his story. How he was framed for embezzlement, how fake documents were planted, how he was tossed into prison like garbage, and how he had lost everything, even his identity. Barrister Naji listened quietly, taking notes. Occasionally, he clenched his fist. This is criminal, he said. Your uncle owns Obiajalu Properties now. He merged it with a foreign firm and changed all the account holders. But if we can find one proof, One shred of legal identity, they can't silence you again. I don't have any documents, Emeka said. Not even an ID. Naji stood and opened a filing cabinet. But I do. He pulled out a dusty folder. Before they came for you, I made a copy of your father's original will. I also took your birth certificate and the original shareholder list from Obiajalu Properties, just in case. I kept it hidden. Emeka's eyes widened. You kept them? I couldn't let his legacy die. Your father was a good man. Amara's hand gripped Emeka's tightly. Naji leaned forward. We can fight this. It'll take time, but once the court sees these documents, we can start a case. If we win, you'll not only clear your name, you'll take back everything that was stolen. Emeka sat in silence, overwhelmed. Thank you, he said finally. As they left the office, Amara turned to him. This is it. This is your path back. He nodded slowly. And when I get it all back, I swear, you and the baby will never suffer again. That evening, back at the fruit stall, Amara tried to act normal, but something was different. She smiled more. She stood taller. The shame she once carried had started to melt away. But not everyone was happy. That same night, someone snapped a photo of Emeka escorting Amara down the road. The image, though blurry, showed his face. And that photo ended up in the hands of Cecilia. She dropped her wine glass in shock. It can't be, no. She zoomed in, trembling. Emeka Obiajalu? That beggar? That's who I gave Amara to. The pieces began to fall into place. She remembered the quietness in his eyes. The way he never begged. The pride he still carried. I married my stepdaughter to a billionaire's son, she whispered, horrified. And if he regains everything, I'm finished. She stood quickly, grabbing her phone. No. I have to fix this before it's too late. Cecilia wasn't the kind to accept defeat. And as Emeka began the slow journey to reclaim his life, she was already planning how to destroy it again.